Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this 19th session of the SAM Best Practice Webinars. My name is Nicolas Rousseau. I'm a product manager for Flexera ITAM. And today I will spend an hour with you in this recorded webinar. The recording will be shared next week. In this recorded webinar, I will go through some news quickly, and I will spend most of the time of today's session on the new SAM Operations Hub, which is planned for cloud customers in April. So I would say within 20 days, we are deploying the UAT in production. And that will be available for on-premise customers in June with the FlexNet Manager 2023.R1 version. So let's move on. And like every time, let's have a look to the agenda, which will be quite simple today. The first part will be on the last session's pointers and answers to questions. There was only one question. Then I will go through the news quickly to give a maximum time for the SAM Operations Hub. And then we will spend most of the time on the new SAM Operations Hub, explaining a little bit, in the history of ITAM, where the SAM Operations Hub is, and then discuss the general approach, making a detailed demo, of course, of this hub on the demo system that I have, and describing a little bit the underlying reports. That's a particularity of this hub, just like the SAM Optimization Hub that I presented last month. Contains pointers to maybe 8 or 10 reports. The SAM Operations Hub comes with a set of new reports and new screens that allow to provide the details behind the numbers, behind the KPIs that this SAM Operations Hub provides. So starting with this last session, which was the SAM Optimization Hub, the recording and PowerPoint are in the community, just opening where it is sitting. So this is the community hub that you can find when you access the community. And then in the events and webinars, you have this recording, and it contains, like usual for the other 19 sessions, it contains the video, it contains a detailed agenda with eventually some links, and it contains finally the PowerPoint, or sometimes, multiple documents that were used. So let's move on. I hope you see my screen, so that's important to if you still see the welcome screen, make sure that you are on the right tab. There is a tab for that shows only the title of this session, and you should see right now me going on the community website and showing you this recording and presentation for the March session. Okay, so okay, so I'm just checking one thing on the screen sharing. I'm sharing my screen again. So entire screen, Chrome tab. Okay, so I just hope. Okay, hopefully you see right now a PowerPoint. And then if I move to the, so if I escape this screen, if I move to the community tab, hopefully you see now the website. Okay, so I have always issues with screen sharing, and somebody is monitoring that. Thank you. Okay, so I clicked on the link, which was in the PowerPoint, and the recording and presentations are here with the detailed agenda, the links, the documentation, the presentation, and sometimes more. Okay, so just a hint, if you want to subscribe to the events and webinar section, you need to access it. So you would access, from the community. You would then open the community hub. And then in this events and webinar section, you can subscribe to get the notifications and also get information on other webinars that happen. Okay. So, okay. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to share again. Okay. Hopefully, you see now the PowerPoint. And hopefully, if I stop and show the community, you will see this events and webinar section that you can access through the community welcome page. Then you go to the community hub. Okay. And then, okay. So and once you're on the in the events and webinar section, thank you for monitoring. Once you're on this section, you will see you have the ability to subscribe or unsubscribe. Okay, so screen sharing confusion is finished. Let's move on, and let's move back to the PowerPoint, which where I was. So this is a pointer to the community. And then there was, one question on the SAM optimization hub and the related reports. Will these reports be on premise? Yes. So this is a matter of timing. We start with releasing every month additional content to cloud customers, and twice a year. So it will be in June this year, mid-June. 2023 R1 will be released, which is the on-prem version. And 2023 R2 will be released in November, end of November 2023. Second question, to be honest, I'm not sure I understood the question, so maybe the person could follow up directly by email with me. So normally, if you ignore a VM or a computer, it should not, stop the inventory to come in. So if you have ignored virtual machines, which are still or which are reporting again, it happens, you should have, an ignored device with the last inventory date of yesterday, for instance, and that's actually one of the reports of the SAM operations hub. It's to catch, when for a process you ignore the device, but if it's reporting again, you should actually reactivate it. So. Thanks for following up with me. But normally, this is not an expected behavior that an ignored device would turn into not being updated by the inventory if the agents or SCCM is still reporting the device. Let's move on. Some news. 2022 R2.3 actually. So it will be R2.4. Will be released end of, something which is wrong. So this is the 2022 R2.4, and it will be end of April, which is the month we are starting. And this version will contain the SAM operations hub with, everything I'm going to show today, and more reports which were not yet in the report, as well as I would say, beta version of the Intune inventory adapter. You will find, as usual, all the information of the coming features in the docs.flexera.com. You pick up Flexera 1, and even an on-premise customer could do this because the features will happen in ITAM, in Flexera Manager, sorry. And you see this feature by release that gives all details of the upcoming features. So here we have March. which is what was happening this week, or what has happened actually last week for all customers. And you will get the April update soon that will give the details on this SAM Operations Hub, for instance, and additional connectivity to Intune. Okay, so as usual, I will quickly give you a pointer to this SAM Best Practice Hub very quickly, which is one of the knowledge-based article of the community, which is showing a lot of things, particularly on the SAM Operations Hub, SAM Publisher Hub, and SAM Optimization Hub. This one has been released. This one is for next week or next month, and this one is coming next. And in this document, you will get all the links to the previous sessions, these SAM Best Practice webinars. You will see many various topics, Java, managing unrecognized application, how metering works, IBM, PV and VPC licensing. So we'll find many things, and soon you will also find this session, the SAM Operations Hub webinar. And if you go lower, you will see the preview of what we are working on, which is the SAM Operations Hub, the preview of the SAM Publisher Hub, which is right now evolving a little bit, and the sort of what was a preview 2 years ago, 1 year ago, when I created this document. The SAM Optimization Hub is now a reality. So everything that you see here has been published, but you get more information, more explanations. And if you're on premise, you can, when these are productized solutions from the community, productized reports, you can actually every time open the community solution and install or create the reports. Here, this is a post about Windows Server and SQL optimization. And you get in these reports actually the current code of what we have released. These reports were released in 2022 and 2021. So you can implement these solutions with the Word documents and the code, SQL code, which is creating the reports. Okay, so let's move on because this is a big topic, the SAM Operations Hub. Let's start. So first thing, and I will be fast because I spent a good 5 minutes on this one in the previous solution, in the previous session for the SAM Optimization Hub. So first, Flexera and FlexNet Manager and ITAM had forever a solid design, able to manage, complex license types, having solid recognition and normalization. So I would say, being solid and accurate has been forever a strong strength of the tool. And I put a timeline which is starting in 2010, joined in 2013, and up to now. And what I wanted to show is that we are, expanding this solid design to additional value. So being clever and useful is, of course, a very important thing. So the simulation engine has always been here, allowing to understand, what would be the impact of changing the number of cores of a server, or what an application would be, a new application would cause. And we have extended, actually, and that has been a recent focus, to make more the data, more accessible, interpreted, and helpful for the users. So this is the SAM optimization. We had Oracle, Windows Server, SQL Server. I let you go back to last month's recording. We had recently intelligent license restriction that allows to focus and restrict a license on any report, which is very powerful because this is a dynamic target. We have more things that are coming right now. The cloud migration license impact simulation engine. This is a feature which is only for customers who have moved to next-gen reconcile. So this is going gradually for cloud customers only. And we will have soon, intelligent allocation and exemption, more optimization in licenses. So this making SAM data, which is complex, easier to understand, interpreted, and analyzed, is a second focus. We have more static. And I would say the next one, is making this data business centric. Show the value and show the SAM data. So answering business questions. The SAM optimization hub, again, go to the last one, allows to understand in all angles what is your current optimization and what you could optimize by taking action. The SAM operations hub, I will spend a lot of time today, is answering the question that is a simple question but hard to answer, which is how am I performing? Can I trust my SAM data? And the SAM publisher hub will have a application publisher centric view of SAM, and will allow to start from a centralized point, which is the application publisher, Microsoft, Oracle, IBM, and then have all the processes related on this starting point, instead of having I would say object view that we have today, which is what are my contracts? Oh, these are my Microsoft contracts. What are my deployed applications? Oh, these are my Microsoft deployed applications. So the SAM Publisher Hub will provide a vendor-centric, publisher-centric view. And the last angle will be more attractive and integrated. So these are features we are expanding on, making ITAM not only solid, clever, business-centric, but also a little bit more beautiful. So on the reporting side, for instance, being able to build widgets or build charts easily. So there are more things that we're going to do, and more and more related to the Flexera One platform, which is modernizing the reporting, being more integrated, having a cross-domain integration, such as being able from an inventory device which has license consumption to see the ITV device that will have additional information on the end of life, for instance, or jumping from an Oracle server to the business service. This Oracle server is participating to and having a TCO, total cost of ownership, BOP. So we are going to broaden the value to be more horizontal and more good-looking, I would say, for the reporting and for getting data out of ITAM. So we are going to focus on this part, and more particularly on this SAM Operations Hub. The SAM Operations Hub, in few words, is I would say, a visualization of your SAM KPIs. So being able to compute key performance indicators on a key operations topic. And the goal of these KPIs, there are actually 19 of them, so I made a screenshot that doesn't show everything, is to understand what is the current situation on many items I will detail, that will lead to trusting or not the data quality. Do I have a good inventory? Can I trust my inventory? Is actually the first question that actually has a number of detailed answers. And the goal of the SAM Operations Hub is to measure right now and over the time the performance and the potential issues you have. So I'm going to make a detailed demo and allow you to understand that in the context of your entities. That's why we have an enterprise filter. And the idea that it provides the high-level understanding. It provides more information. You can see more details. And you can actually, more info, and you can drill down into reports, which are supporting these KPIs. Because when you see that you have, let's say, 5 vCenters with inventory imports in the last 3 months, it's better to see which vCenters have reported what is the error that you get in the logs. So the goal of this, the hub is also to expand a lot the reports and the details that you have in reports to address questions and to answer to questions. So I'm just explaining the general approach, and then I will demo the hub, and then demo and explain the reports behind the hub. So the general approach is, so this is the second hub of a series. There will be later, this is the next slide, the SAM Publisher Hub. And the goal is to provide a transparency on data quality and SAM processes, to establish trust in the SAM tool. Honestly, as a consultant for years and years, what can kill a SAM project is data that is not reliable. People start not trusting it, and don't trust the tool and what is written in terms of license compliance or even optimization. So the idea is that in this famous Maslow pyramid of SAM, the base, which corresponds to the foundations and the necessary processes in SAM, which are related to inventory and visibility, you need to trust the foundations to be able, on top of the pyramid, to get high value, such as financial optimization or advanced integrations with enterprise processes. If you have, let's say, Power BI centralized reporting, you'd better trust your SAM data and your inventory data before you push data into the enterprise reporting tool, for instance. So that's really about, understanding the issues, potentially establishing trust. And to do this, there is a set of some performance KPIs, current and trend. The ability to analyze more and slicing the data is provided by the hub. You will see this enterprise filter. And some reports, most of them are new, some were existing, for instance, that will support and provide the details. So if a KPI is bad, you will know which, one by one, which are the computers, virtual machines with no host, and so on. And you can then address the issues once you have identified the root cause, which is also helped by these reports and their documentation. And once you have good SAM data and processes, you can, that's talking about the bottom of this pyramid, you can perform and get additional value, which is the top of the pyramid, which we have addressed actually with the SAM optimization hub, with chargeback features, with all these topics that we deliver, would have no value if you don't trust the foundation. Let's move on. Before I'm doing a demo, the next hub, the last one was the SAM optimization hub. This hub is providing the vendor-centric view. Is providing the KPIs and trends. And the next one will be the SAM Publisher hub, sort of a preview. It will be delivered across Q2 and Q3. So in the next 6 months, I would say. So first, there will be a new notion, which is a vendor to application publisher normalization. That's one of the challenges we have today. A license, a purchase, a contract is linked actually to a vendor in terms of object in ITAM. And these vendors should and do map to application publishers. So the idea that we have a new level of normalization that allows to match in a calculated way based on historical data, or in a forced way, the vendors to the publishers. And once we have this link, we can create, let's say, this SAM Publisher hub for where you pick up the publisher. So here I've picked up Microsoft. And the idea that we provide a visualization on the compliance, on the trend, on the optimization trend, on the deployed applications, on the upcoming contracts. All these visualization items are possible because we have the links, between the vendors and the publisher, the application publisher, and you can then, drill down from these widgets to a new, actually, publisher screen that will contain the full details. So if you open the publisher screen, you will see the flat list of all publishers, application publishers, normalized application publishers. And by opening Oracle, for instance, you will get the full details as tabs on the installed applications, on the compliance, on the unlicensed installations, on the possible issues with the data quality or unrecognized evidence. So in the end, instead of navigating object by object and filtering the data, you get this entry point, which is actually very aligned with what our customers do with people who are responsible for a vendor. So there are some Oracle software asset managers. There are some Microsoft, and this new view will allow to have this sort of entry point by vendor, by publisher. So I'm going to start the demo of the hub. So I'm showing here, actually my preview version is installed locally, but if you open Flexera 1 today, so I'm opening it. Today you have the navigation on the left, and let's open it. You have this dashboard section. And in the dashboard section today, we don't have yet, a three-level navigation that would show all the hubs together. So the SAM optimization hub is here, and the SAM operations hub will appear next week, just below this one. If you click on SAM optimization today, you have this type of, reporting, explanations, drill down to reports. If you open a report, you get, the SAM user license consumption and optimization, for instance. So the operations hub will be in this part. Okay. I'm demoing now in this on-premise version I have. So what do we have? We have the top part of the hub. So when it will come on premise in June, you will have this new SAM hubs, and SAM operations hub is below the SAM optimization hub. And once you open the hub, what it does technically, it queries data which is stored in the data warehouse. So once a day, there is a task that will collect all the data related to KPIs. It's basically a big SQL script, and that will store the data in the data warehouse, which today we can use with Cognos, for instance. You can create Cognos reports reading the data warehouse. This hub does not use Cognos. So if you did not install Cognos, it will work just for everyone. And this hub actually is not, the visualization will be shown to anyone. So even if a user has a restricted access, it can just see, let's say, one location, Europe, or one location, US. With the SAM optimization hub, a user with a restricted access would not see, the widgets because it's very hard actually to slice the data for optimization. For the SAM operations hub, this is easy to adapt what people see to what they're authorized to see, and that's why we store the data in the data warehouse for each of the KPIs, sliced by cost center / corporate unit / location. So in the end, as a user, I'm admin here. If I'm accessing this hub, I'm getting here the visible part of the iceberg, which is the sum of all the scopes, the sum of all the issues, and behind the scene, in the data warehouse, we have sliced the data, which allows to do better reporting adapted to people with a scoped access. Or if somebody has, let's say, a wide range access, like an admin, this person can actually play with the can use the enterprise filter to slice the data, and you see that where we had 2,000 out of date inventory, which is very, very bad, we have now just 335 in total scope, but 332 which are out of date. So the idea that with this enterprise filter, you can maybe fine tune for the corporate units or for the cost centers, and you can reassess the data and the data quality. This is a lot about data quality that we have here. You can reassess the performance for a restricted scope. Okay, so you want to take it away, you just open and save again. And once you have nothing left here, it means you are not restricted any longer. So I will not go through each of the KPIs, there are 19 of them. Just to start, we have a snapshot. This is your current situation. We have a performance assessment, which is hard-coded. Today, you don't have any way to say, oh, I consider that having out-of-date inventory is bad if I have more than 5%. So you will see, depending on your situation, you will see good, fair, and bad. And we have an explanation on why we said, this is good, fair, or bad. And the approach is always the same. We have the number of issues, which is the numerator. You have the total scope, which is the denominator, and then you have a percentage, which is the KPI. And depending on this KPI, it will be good, fair, or bad. And in addition to this snapshot that gives you the full picture, we'll check together the various KPIs we have. You have a trend. So the data is historized, once a week or once a day, actually, then once a week for a month, and finally once a month for more than a year. But we just display, the last 12 months of trend. And each, because we had many KPIs, each KPI actually shows what KPI we have. So this is practical, and that makes the analysis easier, having the highlighted labels. Okay, so what KPIs do we have? We have tried to make sort of a sequence that corresponds to the top issues first, and then less important issues. So a failed task, if your SCCM import is failing, if it has been failing for a week, it is a very, very bad thing. Maybe a timeout, maybe there could be good reasons why SCCM does not import, or maybe good reason why a vCenter task is failing. But we will, catch here the numbers, and anything which is more than 0% will be bad. It's a little bit binary, and very simply, you have two things. One, which is sort of a detailed explanation. So if you click here, you go lower in the explanation, and yeah, indeed, this one has been quite short. So you have a detailed explanation, and then you have eventually a report or a screen, it depends, that will be opened if you click on this KPI. And the report here, nothing extraordinary. This is actually a sales screen. You will see there are some more complex reports, but you have here a sales screen, which is actually the task screen, which we as Flexera have saved, I've saved with a filter, which is this is the last task. We show only the last run, and this is failed. And we have a new concept of management views, which are save screens, that are the out-of-the-box save screens. You see there is no save button here, so you cannot modify. You can eventually do a copy of the screen if you want to add more filters or more columns. But the idea that we have a screen that we created based on the classical out-of-the-box task screen, and you will see a number of such save screens. In the management view index, the contracts to be renewed in the next 90 days, the failed tasks, the on-premise or fan virtual machines, or the unlicensed commercial installations. All of these are nothing else than existing screens that we have filtered. Classification is commercial, and you cannot, again, save the out-of-the-box screen, but eventually do a copy. So I'm going back to the SAM Operations Hub. And the next biggest topics and biggest possible issues are, do you have beacons which are not reporting files, which have connection issues? So here, the next one opens very simply the beacon list. And in the beacon list, you see the quantity of data which is not uploaded. And you will see that there are topics. The third very big topic, in my view, is about edging or disabled inventory sources. If you have, let's say, CCM that you imported 5 years ago from a beacon, you change a CCM to another beacon, you just disable the task, so it means you don't import again. The data that got imported will leave false positives forever if you don't delete the source. So again, this one is a link to the inventory sources. Need to let it open slowly. And you see here, this is in my demo system, I just have FlexNet Manager, no issue. That's why the report says there is no issue. But if I had, let's say, an SCCM that had reported last time in March or in February of 2023, I would have here, one source out of, let's say, 2 is reporting with issues. And then, you have many good reasons or many possible reasons why there could be issues. And this is where we have created a number of new reports that are actually already available to you if you're cloud customers, and that you could check if I go here to the current version of ITAM. In the reporting, you will see there is a new SAM operations node, which contains right now 7, but soon there will be 2 more reports. And these are the reports that support the KPIs. And you will see these are reports which are addressing complicated topics that were up to now very complex to address. So just to go down the list, vCenter import issues, for instance. This one, is very important if you have vCenter servers. So here, this is a little bit fake inventory data, but if you have vCenters, if a vCenter import fails, you don't refresh the links between the clusters, the ESX servers, and the virtual machines, which is making all the rest of your data or license consumption calculation for publishers like Oracle, IBM, or Microsoft server applications. It makes the data not relevant. So here we have a report that you can run from now on, which is actually starting from the discovered device, looking up, any device which has a flag that says I'm vCenter. Actually, it goes beyond that. You would see Oracle Virtual Machines Manager. You will see a number of various technologies. And once we catch, this discovered device that had the flag, we will catch the discovery date for the device, the last one it reported, the last time it got inventoried for VMware. And then you will see things which are very complex to analyze. Most recent inventory date for hosts and oldest inventory date for hosts. If you see a mismatch here within a line, it means that some hosts have not been reported, have been decommissioned, and eventually, they could have virtual machines which should be actually ignored or unlinked. So I will not go through each of the lines, but it's going basically, from the vCenter to the clusters, from the clusters to the ESX servers, to the ESX servers to the VMs. That's why it's catching, an old ESX with active VMs, for instance. That's an issue. And the report will analyze, take the log, which was challenging to find when you check vCenter logs. There are thousands of logs. Here we will just report the errors when the last inventory import got an error, and we will even split between automated tasks, which are very often related to the IBM frequent scan, which are causing a lot of noise, I would say, and the rules that you have set up yourself, which are here. So my data is a little bit constructed, but the role here that we'll see is typically a discovery role that you have done for vCenter inventory. And the comment, again, the data here is not very relevant, but the comment will summarize the potential issues that have been found. So here, it will blow to your face that among the eventually 300 vCenters you have, or maybe 10 vCenters, if you're a less complex organization, you have a number of issues that have been identified. And these issues could absolutely be, please make sure the login is wrong. So that's a very classical topic. But if you don't have, this report, you may not state that there is an issue for a while. So this is one type of issue. Out-of-date inventory is a very famous one. If you have an active device which is more than 30 days, ignored inventory, recently inventoried, or ignored devices recently inventoried, a classical one as well. If you, for a given reason, you ignored it, it was not reported for a long time, and it came back, you have now this KPI which is monitored. Awaiting inventory VMs, that's a report that got actually introduced in December last year. This report will show all the VMs that have been reported by vCenters and that have not been reported by the agents with the date when they got inventoried and so on. So this report is catching the gaps between what you know for sure. And here, we have actually very few true VM imported, and we have big vCenters imported. So that's why you see here, you get the full list of which vCenters are reporting virtual machines. This is a VM name, which has no link to the true record, because there is no true record. And then you can quickly understand, where you need to deploy more agents, or maybe identify why some machines seem to be active, reported by vCenter, but not from the agents. So I could take forever. I've a little bit more time, so I will go down the list of these KPIs. Awaiting inventory VMs, so very important if you want to understand your virtual machine gaps. On-premise orphan virtual machine, this is a classical topic. If you don't have a process to ignore the virtual machines which are no longer active, you could catch that with an old inventory date. So this would be this out-of-date inventory. It may happen that the virtual machine is no longer reported by vCenter, so no link is reported to its host, and you will get an orphan virtual machine. Reversely, you could have a virtual machine which is actually on a host in a vCenter, but the vCenter was not inventoried, so the fact you have a lot of orphan virtual machines may be the sign that you have some hosts or some vCenter that don't report correctly, and the new VMs comes with the agent, but are not linked. So it comes back to this report. If you fix this issue, you should have less, virtual machines which are orphan. This topic is a little bit complex. I will not spend too much time, but what you can do is check on the documentation. It can happen that the same device comes twice from inventory. So it could be coming from SCCM and the FlexNet agent. And in that case, the report, which is here, I will run the report. The report will actually catch going on. The report. So the report will, sorry, I did not click on the right one. So if I go to the merged device, here I should not have so many of them. You see that there is a priority which is set. It's very technical. You should read the documentation, but if you have a priority 1 device that comes in, just like we have, I will show you, by grouping by device. For instance, this device which is active, has two underlying records. One of November 2021, one of January 2020. So this is an old record. And this old record has 25 installer evidence. And the issue that the computer that you see in the database has, the sum of these evidences. And I will let you read the documentation, but this one actually brings false positives. So in the end, you need to, when they come from two different sources, the threshold will be if a record is more than 15 days older than the other, SCCM is not up to date, or FlexNet is not up to date, there will be a warning that will say, be careful. You may have a false positive because the device no longer is reporting. If the issue is within a source, it happens that a FlexNet manager has, depending on the two versions of the agent, that's what I'm seeing here, has two records, then the solution is to delete actually the records from the source, which is an inventory manager. I will not spend hours on that, but check this one. This is a big source of false positive, and people say that's strange. I removed an application 6 months ago, and I'm still seeing it. It's because maybe there is a behind the scene, imported device which has this merged issue. So you need to delete or to use the out of the box feature, which is, we have a feature to delete devices which have been, maybe I'm showing that, it can be useful. We have this inventory setting, which says, remove any inventory device that did not come for 90 days. It will delete from the inventory manager source, so the FlexNet inventory source, and it will decrease a lot, the type of issues you have here, because there is no way, a very old record gets merged with a very recent record if you say delete after 3 months, for instance. Okay, so hopefully you see a little bit the logic. These are sometimes very specific topics, very technical ones. This one is quite technical. Agent version is simpler. It's about, what is the latest version you have? What is the proportion of agents of the latest version versus the others? So here, we have one agent of version probably 2022. All the other agents are, older. It may not be an issue because you're happy to be in version 2020 of the agent. It may be an issue if you have a plan to deploy, and this is not just, a test agent versus the others. Unlicensed commercial installations is a big topic as well. Are your licenses covering all the deployed applications? Unprocessed purchase and upcoming contract renewals. Unprocessed purchase is a classical topic. If you have imported purchase but not linked or deferred this purchase, it will maybe impact negatively your entitlements. And finally, the last two ones are more facts. That's why it's gray. There is no good or bad. Do you have upcoming contracts? Is it a big proportion of your contracts? Okay, I have 10% of my contracts, coming to their end in the next 3 months. It's an issue. It could be a lot of work, but it's a fact. So, and same thing with subscription and maintenance experience. So hopefully it makes sense. This is a flat list of KPIs, and then there is more. When you read the text carefully, you will see that you will have links to the reports, like before, but you have, for instance, additional topics. Oracle Inventory Troubleshooting is a quite complex topic. So a new report, again, coming with this in April. It's not yet inventory. A new report, there is no data here in this one, but we'll actually catch a lot of data about which device has which Oracle instance. Do we have a log that shows an error? Which instance is impacted by the log? So this report that has quite a lot of columns will catch all Oracle servers where an issue has been identified. It will clean up, data which is more than 6 months and so on, just to keep, interesting data. And you will get everything in a single report, which is the error log, the existing instances, when were they inventoried, list of Oracle instances for this device. You will see the current situation. You will see the log. You will see the last Oracle discovery and inventory date. And this for the inventory through the agent or through the beacon. So these are reports that will return some data, but some customers, for instance, have decided to run the agent Oracle inventory. They, they don't use the impersonation, which is that you can use any. We use a root user or an admin user to connect to the database. If customers say, no, I want an explicit user in the database to be used, which is a setting of the agent, you will find eventually hundreds of instances where you will get an error message that says, sorry, login failed, please use a user that I know. So that's a very important report to fine-tune the quantity and the quality of your Oracle data. That's one of these reports which has actually no KPI. Another report that is quite powerful and that is already released is called Unrecognized Installer Evidence Analysis. And if you run this report, which takes a little bit of time to be run, you will see that, or maybe I could run it on this demo system. I will run it here. No, sorry, this one. The Unrecognized Installer Evidence Analysis. This one will take, just for installer evidence, which are the most used evidences today to recognize applications. It will catch, any unrecognized evidence, like you could see them in the unrecognized evidence stream. But it will apply a full analysis on what is this evidence. Am I finding another evidence which looks like this one, but is already linked to an application? Is this application commercial? Is this commercial application licensed? Did I create a license for this application? And then you will get a prioritized list of your unrecognized evidence. So let's leave it a little bit of time, but you see, here we have 7,000 unrecognized evidence, which is quite big. Maybe, most of them are uninteresting, but if you open that, and you will really see things which are extremely interesting. So this demo database actually, has a lot of, imported data through, so this is for demo, but in your true environment, you will see things which would be, very interesting. You see this Camtasia is unrecognized. This is a starting point, we don't show an evidence if it's recognized, of course. This evidence, has the matching evidence, which is Camtasia 2018, which is from Tech Corporation. It is linked to the application, Camtasia 2018, which is commercial. Okay. This is what we recognize today for Camtasia. We have a number of versions, and we have a license which is monitoring this application, which is looking like, the raw evidence that didn't get recognized. So here, this is and that's why we have these priorities. If the evidence looks like another evidence, just to say what is look like is based on the clean name. The clean name is basically the display name of the evidence minus any numerical or dots or comments. And then we compare this clean name, which is Camtasia, this one, and which is also Camtasia on the other one. We compare both, and if we have an exact match on clean names, we'll say this is a corresponding, brother evidence that we see here. And then, depending on the brother evidence attributes, we always try to catch the matching evidence and check if there are commercial link to commercial applications and to licenses. We have a priority logic. We will immediately rank the unrecognized evidence with priorities. So priority 2, is less, I would say, an issue. So it seems there are a lot of things with Camtasia here, but Global Protect is linked to an existing application. We already know Global Protect 2.3, but this is still an application which is commercial, and we have actually we have a license. So just run this report. It may take a good 5 minutes to run, or 3 minutes, and you will see actually where to start, or eventually what to send to Flexera ERL, so that they fix first the important one. That's one of the issues we had. People send a flat list of 7,000 evidences, so it makes it very hard to analyze. While if you have these varieties, you will see something interesting. And the last thing I wanted to show on this one, we have this publisher is licensed, which is extremely interesting. It means that if you have, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 vendors that you manage with licenses, the report will check any raw publisher against any application that you have for these licensed publishers. So we will give. It's again about priorities. When you have hundreds of publishers and you are just focused for your compliance project on 10 publishers, you will have this direct link between the raw evidence and the publisher, normalized publisher. Okay, so I'm moving on with the last two reports I wanted to show you. So this is the Unrecognized Installer Evidence Analysis. This one got released a while ago. It's called, license compliance and unlicensed product risk. I go back to my demo system, which has more data, but not yet the hub. And this one, here we go. So this view is actually mixing the license results, fine, with the unlicensed product, commercial product that have been installed and found. So it's mixing the data that you could find in the unlicensed installation report with the data that you can find with the all license screen. And if I'm taking Adobe, for instance, okay, so here it's everything seems to be managed. But if I'm checking, Microsoft, you see here this mail security for Microsoft Exchange. Not sure if that's a very super important one, but it's actually a commercial application. And okay, so it's from Microsoft. So it's not a Microsoft product. I should have actually here filtered on Microsoft. Yeah, sorry, I messed up things. And here you see project online for 365. In this instance, has a 6 installation and is actually on certain device installed but not monitored by license. As well, if you filter on Oracle. So here, you get the full picture, and because you have the product name, you can see if for a given product you have unlicensed installations for the product, even if you have a license which is covering the product. It's an important way to mix this information. And here, a little bonus is that if you filter on this last column, you will see which servers have, or which instance have an option which is installed and used, OLAP, but which have no license covering it. So it's a way of catching, the unlicensed installations of options, which means unlicensed, unlicensed instances which have the option installed and used. So hopefully you see the interest of this one, but that's a conversation I had many times, why do we have to jump between the two screens, unlicensed installations and the licenses? Now you have the full picture. And maybe the last one, because I still have 1 minute. The last one is the license issues analysis. It's not a KPI. It's very hard to say, you have X licenses with issues. However, when you create a license, people may modify the license later, or you may add a product and forget to put the upgrade and downgrade rights. So this report is going to catch, all the licenses, which are active, I think. It's just focusing on active licenses. And once it has found all the licenses, it will check the 10 typical issues. First one being, for instance, did you forget about downgrade rights? Say 90% of the case, a license should have a downgrade right. Second topic, so it shows transparency first. What is the license restricted with a report? That was a gap that we have. We can restrict a license on a report, which is called the intelligent license restriction, but we don't know which licenses are restricted with which report. This report brings now the data. The second thing is, who modified the license and who and when was it modified? Interesting. If something changed last week, that's maybe good. Or sometimes, it's about, it's about, it could be about a new title being added and so on. So this is an automatic change. And then you will have this, purchase, allocated, consumed. Interesting. Then you have, for instance, number of unlicensed installation related to this license. So if you have, let's say, this license covering all Creative Cloud, so it's just Acrobat, sorry, for DC, the report will tell you, oh, be careful, you have 53 installations of one of the products which is covered, with this license, which have 53 unlicensed installations. So from the license, you understand the links to unlicensed installation. You understand the links to other licenses, which have overlapping applications. You get the view on the downgrade rights across products. It may have inconsistency. So if you have 5 products and 2 of them have upgrade and downgrade rights, and maybe upgrade until next month, and 3 products have no upgrade, no downgrade rights, this is an inconsistency. So in the end, this report will catch everything, and in September it will have a new column which is called comment that will summarize, the potential issues for the license. So you see, these are, this is going beyond the numbers. This is good. This is bad. This is going very deep. And the last thing that I wanted to show is about the SAP inventory details. I will run it on my local system. But for people who manage SAP systems in ITAM, we have a limited number of reports today. And this report for a SAP user is useful because, so SAP details. It's very hard to understand the full picture on an SAP system. So if you have this, details, SAP. Sorry, I'm going to find it. SAP inventory details. I think that this one. Okay, this one actually. So if you run this report, it gives you the full picture, which is very hard to catch on SAP systems. What is the system? What is the default license type? How many accounts? Do you have data for transaction history in the last 3 months, actually, 4 months? What is the total number of history record that you have? What is the most recent consumption imported? Do you have raw engine measurements? Having the full picture in one report is something that, of course, brings insight into the inventory quality. So this is one of these many new reports. Okay, so I think that's it for today. I don't have more to show. Thanks. So I'm just checking that nothing was missed. So this is a list of reports. You can go back to it, new screens, new reports. And I thank you for the time you spent with me today and hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye.